So with insurance companies, millions, billions of dollars at stake, and the game that insurance wants to play is, how can we not pay benefits? That's the game. That's the game. And I think creating that dislocation, or that inefficiency, and allowing it to be from the insurance side, in a world today where technology and information services is so elevated from even when I was in practice 20 years ago, it shouldn't be, but the insurance companies have no reason to want to make it more efficient, because so again, I'm not asking you to give away your algorithms or anything, but I'm just asking you, is that still, am I right? Is that still the problem? We're always going to be up against the insurance companies. The game is, delay. And you found a way potentially to work through it or work around it, I guess.
Right. It's a problem. And yeah, our solution is to work around it. Right. We're not, depending on the insurance companies, even though there are plenty of initiatives that are kind of forcing their hand a little bit. Right. Just, legislatively and through the, ADA push and all that stuff. But as you know, everything in that space moves so slow, right? And there's a level of bureaucracy that exists, whether artificially created or, that's just a function of the system.
Right.
We can't really depend on the insurances to play nice and before we can provide the solution. So we are definitely looking to go around it. But it's not in like a hacky way. It's not like a shady, hacky way that somebody can say, well, this is not okay, etc. Right? I think ultimately, and this is obviously not something that I'm foreseeing will happen, but if it ever came down to it and some insurance took exception to what we're doing and how we're going about this process, right? It's either going to be, if there was ever a lawsuit, it'll be one of those like open and shut cases for us, right? Saying, yeah, what do you mean? Makes sense, right? And in fact, that might actually even preempt them to give a lot of the APIs and present them in the type of a format that we're looking for, right? Versus building it ourselves.
Eric, where do you think the trend with insurance participation in dentistry, since that's where we're talking about today, where do you think that's going? What's the long trend? And again, I know other than your wife's practice and which obviously you're indebted, and that's where you started all this. But where do you see things going? Are we going to see a continuation of participation by the number or percentages of dentists that are participating today? Are we going to see that continue? Or we see it increase? Are we going to see it decrease? What I'm hearing, and you know way better than I do, is that even with COVID this last year, some insurance companies are actually, again, pushing reimbursement rates down in an era where we've got inflation. Where does all this end, in your opinion? Or not end, but where does it go?
Yeah, it's like with most things, right? Sometimes you hit a breaking point, right? And where that breaking point is, I think some of the companies are obviously like, pushing it a little bit, right? Now, I also want you to know, the insurance companies are also my friends, and I have to maintain good relationships. So this is not my fight to fight, right? But at the same time, I do feel for the dentist right now, right? Like I do believe that at this point of time, some of the reimbursements are getting prohibitively punitive, right? It's like, wow, this is, especially in an environment where everything is indeed gone up, and especially being labor costs, which is the highest cost for a dental office in the first place, right? So, there is obviously, it's one of those things that what I'm seeing is some offices are telling me, yeah, I'm okay dropping 4 insurances. I'm really busy. And sometimes it's the first question I ask. Are you busy? Yes. Okay. Don't be married to the fact of being, busy, right? It's perfectly okay if you're less busy and doing better. It's just that the fascination of the feeling of like, I'm doing so much, sometimes it's more important. You got to break that. It's a mental barrier versus anything else, right? So some of the private practice providers are saying, yeah, it's okay, right? So I'm getting more and more of, yeah, keep me out of network or put me out of network, right? However, at the same time, we also work with a lot of DSOs and doing more and more on the DSO space now, And the game right now, in fact, before your podcast, I was in a meeting with the DSO group, right? And their big concern was, hey, we can't go out of network, right? And I'm like, it's not that bad. And it was really like, in fact, one of the account managers of that DSO group basically had kind of prepped me a little bit, but that they're very nervous. We've already had 3 meetings about, the nervousness of going out of network, right? And, I was on the line and I was saying, guys, be nervous. I'm not here to give you a warm and fuzzy feeling. I'm saying it's going to be challenging. I'm just saying it's going to be okay, right? Like long term, it's not that bad. You may think it is, because there's also a bit of a myth that exists. People think that if you're out of network, the patients can't come to you.
Mhm.
It's not like medicine, dentistry, you actually end up getting paid more. So
Right.
we always have it where sometimes we take a provider out of network and now later we want to negotiate and get the back in network. And the doctor says, no. I'm happy. The same doctor who was very, very nervous about going out of network is saying, wait, I'm getting paid my full fee now. I don't want to go back in network. I'm like, yep, we'll cancel it. So, but as you know, with DSOs, the bigger you get, right, there's all this private equity money, et cetera. And sometimes the metrics they see is, the number of patients and this and that versus like very strict eye on, man, this is a very solid business. So there's a whole thing of like a DSO becoming a bigger DSO by merging with somebody else and another bigger. And then, the natural progression at some point of time is for companies to go public, which we haven't really seen in the demo market yet, but probably
It's coming. Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right. It's interesting that because of the progression and the recap events and that DSOs look to go through is, I guess, changing their metrics, even if it would make the current business model more profitable, that can slow down their opportunity to keep moving, because the next money wants to see a model that's been working, and if you start to change the model, then they pull back and say, well, wait a minute, well, we're not sure if this is going to work. So, right. I mean, that's what's it, but interesting that some of them in your conversation, some of the DSOs are considering for business reasons why it might be better to go out.
Right.
Yeah,
It
interesting.
just depends on the size of the business, right? Like,
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. That's interesting. I appreciate that. So another iteration of what you do to help dentists is kind of on that fee for service. We call them the cash patients, and that's fee for service profits, which is a membership software that helps them manage an in-office membership. Do you want to just give a little bit of context so that people listening understand what that is?
Yeah, sure. So FFS profits just kind of goes with the PPO profits, 3-letter acronym, right? But it's an in-office membership software. What ends up happening is, there's some legal ways to give cash patients a discount, which one of them is if they're on a membership plan. So we basically provide a very simple, very cost-effective way on a cloud platform for you to be able to enroll patients on that, administer it, and all the payment processing, if somebody's card gets declined, et cetera, just makes it very automated to keep these patients current, which ultimately ends up happening is builds loyalty, because part of that is what we consult and say, build a plan where 2 of the visits are covered under your annual or monthly membership, simply because you want that patient to come over, right? Like you may think that, oh man, I'm going to do this second visit for free. Well, you already got paid for it with the annual membership, but your goal is loyalty, and when treatment comes out, right? And for us, it was a bit of a natural progression, because very often, right, when we're negotiating fees, we do a UCR study and we say, doctor, your UCR fees, your office fees are really low. I think we should bump them up by 20% or 15%. And the thing is, wait, I've got this many cash patients. I can't increase my fees by 15 to 20%. So we even got into FFS profits simply because saying, doctor, why don't you go get an in-office membership plan? And they'll say, all right, who do you recommend? And I was just list out 7 companies, right? I don't have any relationships or affiliations with anybody. I'm like, go pick one, just let us know, because I think we should do this. And so we're like, well, we're basically sending all of our clients to different companies. Why don't we just put together a solution for them, which is where the thing of FFS profits came about.
And just a side note to that, how that works in office memberships is there are some state specific guidelines. So I'm sure you help people with wherever state they're from is to make it compliant, right? That's part of the process.
Yeah, so we just started, right? Just so you
Right.
know, this plan was, unveiled about, the software was launched about 3 weeks ago, right? So currently it just happens that 14 states don't have any guidelines,
Ah,
right?
got it.
And so including Illinois, where I'm at. So some of our earlier clients are with some of the states. And our idea is to, we have a very, very big consulting team, well, very, very big is relative, right? But we've got a large administrative and team that can kind of help with all the compliance. But it's one of those things where we're going to have to like take one bite at the elephant, right? And so as we get a new state, we basically tackle with all the compliance issues there.
Very good. Best way for people who are interested in contacting you about any of the services that you're offering. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Vivek?
Yeah, either, hey, I live my life on Facebook, so you can always like message me on Facebook, right? Otherwise, ppoprofits.com or verific.biz, which is BIZ, depending on which company.
I didn't say this at the outset, but I think it's maybe good to say it now. The reason I reached out to you, as I said earlier, we've never met like this, even virtually in person, but I knew of you through the community, Facebook groups and that kind of thing. And your posts are always thoughtful and well received. But what got me to reach out to you was a post that you posted. It was actually November that shows up here. I think it was like on the 14th. It's just within the last couple of weeks. You posted a post about PPO Profits going across the milestone. You call it the milestone of 1,000 clients, and that is a milestone. And you acknowledge that. And you said, you know what, we want to celebrate that. But what I loved about your post is you said, you know what, I'm not really that much about milestones. Yes, it's good to have milestones. It's good to clap our hands and say, hey, we reached a certain milestone if it was a goal for us. But you said, for the first time in my life, my professional vision has finally become clear to me. I see it. I don't need a company to come in to help me shape my brand, mission, vision, which so many people go outside like, well, help us figure this out. It's like, no, you have clarity on this. And anyway, you went on, you said, this has nothing to do with milestones. There's companies way bigger than us, and we're likely still to be small fries. But at this point, I don't care about milestones. It's simply about becoming the best in class. The best in class, the best at who you serve, how you serve them, the results, the transformations, the problems you're solving. That's what you're about. You said it's all connected divisions that serve as a one-stop solution for dental practices, all things PPO insurances, as well as FFS cash patients. To me, see what I try to tell people is, and this is, I just have to bring this up because you're such a good example, is yes, your company comes with reputation. Okay, and if I need help with insurance negotiations, good chance if I'm still practicing, I'm going to give you a call. But you know what? This post right here tells me more about you. What drives you? And that's a connection point. And if more people would be willing to be a little more vulnerable with their respective place in the community and the dental industry, whatever they're doing, and just say, well, what makes you tick? What makes you really tick? What drives you to do what you do every day? What gets you up and get you excited about the day, right? And I think that's what you put. What this, in essence, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I tried to read your words, but to me, that's what I see. And again, you went on. I'm not going to read the whole thing. People can go back and look up your post. But it was this month, Vivek, and I think it was a great post. And I think people can really learn a lot about going deep inside and going, why do I do what I do?
Yeah, I mean, I actually, when I started writing that, I didn't, I was literally just typing as I think, right? It wasn't like, and I didn't proofread it or something, right? And just throw it out there, right? And it was almost like I remember when we reached about like 600 clients, right? I remember I'm like, oh my God, we can hit 1,000 clients. This is going to be like, I'm going to celebrate so big. It's going to be like the biggest announcement on thing. And we're going to celebrate and we're going to put these Facebook live videos, etc. Right? That's like my plan was that we're going to make a big deal that, right? But when that happened, it wasn't like any of these feelings. It was just like, okay, and it was more about plenty of like somewhat self-reflection as well. Like, it's not just all the good as well. It's like, and we reached 1,000 clients, but we also had clients that were not happy with us, right? What should we have done better? What are more check boxes that we have to check to become? I genuinely today believe we are best in class. I'm convinced of that today, that if somebody put a gun to my head and said, what's in your heart, spit it out. I'll say PPO Profits today is best in class, right? We check so many boxes, across everything, whether, right? But there, sometimes even best has weaknesses, right? And you have to like somewhat reflect and say, yeah, we still have like a whole bunch of stuff to do. And after you reach some milestone, like I don't even bother anymore looking at milestones. I'm like, you know what? Now what became very clear is, do people are really like, it's one of those things, right? Where you are never going to arrive to anything, right? It's just, all in your head. And, for me, it's like, okay, it was in my head, but was and so now it's more like, I don't really care about that. I know what I want to do next. I don't know what I have to do it. And it's just, when you get that level of clarity, right? Life becomes a little easy. So.
Well said, sir. Well said. Well, Vivek Kinra, I really appreciate your time and just, showing us the pathway to where you were and what you're doing and the relevance you found in dentistry. I think we're all grateful for what you do. You can find Vivek at ppoprofits.com. Also, check him out on Facebook. Check out that post I talked about this November. That's a good one. Appreciate your time again, Vivek. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.